guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions. So again, it's your boy Cobe Rise.
Coming for you, coming for you, coming for you, coming for you. Oh Lord, do not forget the gorillas. Everyone know we the realest, a bunch of go-getters. I bet you can tell I'm the illest. You don't need your fingers to feel it. You know I can straight spit, knock you out with a late hit. Feel like I'm the one, like I'm Neo, but this is the real life, not the Matrix. I'm about to go ape shit. Ain't no gotta roll out. I know gotta roll out, yeah. I know gotta roll out, yeah. I roll on to
everybody, man. It's your boy Cobe Rise and Rise, you dig? We back at it again with a banger. And this is a special live we got going on today. But before I get it started, we got to pay these bills. We have to pay these bills. Shout out to Queen City Organics. We have the raspberry route for CMOS. I appreciate everybody for coming into the gym this week. And we were just chopping it up with a few people and talking about the benefits of CMOS and how it can benefit your fitness and also muscle recovery going forward. So that way your recovery time is not so prolonged. The more you digest the iodine and the CMOS and the different benefits that come with it, your fitness will be accelerated tremendously. It's something that I've been taking for about a year now, and I've been seeing amazing and great results. So please make sure you guys are tapping in. If you guys are looking for your CMOS jar, make sure you guys hit me below. IG is King Alajuwan 21. Facebook is Rise and Rise Academy. And we got the IG live going on right now. I see my gang is in there. So yeah, we got a special one, y'all. Number one, today is my birthday. So this is definitely a special one. All right. And we also have a special guest. All right. And you can see the title, Keys to Motivation and Success. And I believe we have one of the perfect guests for it. So without further ado, let me introduce you guys to Miss Robin Hill. How's it going?
Hello, Cobe. Happy birthday, sweetheart.
Thank you
How
so much.
young are you?
Hey.
You don't tell, right?
That's right. We don't. No, I'll tell. So I'm 34 today.
Wow, you're looking good, young man. You're looking good. I'm almost twice your age. That's something else, right?
But this is what good healthy eating does. You know what I'm saying? See, we prolong, and the older we get, the younger we get. That's how I look at it.
Yes.
34 years young and not old.
Yes. I remember when I was 34. I was actually running a ministry at that time.
Really?
Yeah. I ran a private Christian school. I built it from K4 to 12th grade in 3 years.
Wow, that's huge. That's a big age gap too.
It was. The demand was it was a very high demand, and I really enjoyed it. My daughters went to that school. They graduated. They went from K4 to 12, graduated, magna cum laude, dean's list, all that good stuff. So mama's proud.
That's right. Oh my goodness. See, they tore it up. I didn't realize you was in the ministry. So that makes a lot of sense too.
Oh yeah. I'm actually been licensed and ordained since 1993. I started out in New Jersey, and then when I came here, I got relicensed in North Carolina. And it's been a journey. I really have been enjoying it. I've written 3 books since I've been here.
Nice.
One is 52 Weeks of Purposeful Thinking. Yay.
Make sure you guys go get that. Now, where can they get that book at?
You can actually go to wellnesstodayinsideout.com and go to Reader's Corner. Same thing here, The Making of a Beast. So if you want to be persuasive and influential the right way, the positive way, this is an excellent, it's actually a manual. So ministers and also salespeople have gotten this. If you are in the people business, you really should get that book because it really does steer you in the right way and get a whole lot of favor from God and man. And my very first book is Urban Joy.
Urban Joy.
Urban Joy. And I've taken that one off the market, but I will be talking about some of the things tonight that's in Urban Joy because it's a book about joy. It's a book about how to be resilient and maintaining your joy, even going through the harsh realities of life, which a lot of times it causes mental illness. And so I've been really studying and practicing joy for years now. So the Lord calls me his joy specialist. So I'm his specialist.
Now that makes sense. I see the bottom it says joy specialist. Yeah,
I've been really studying that, and pretty much all of my ministries, like women empowerment group that I have monthly. I also do 52 weeks of purposeful thinking Zoom where people are actually focusing on their dreams, their goals, and their desires. And in December, we're celebrating. Yay!
That's a beautiful.
And so this is the second year that we've done that. Last year, I was so happy I went through the book myself, even though I wrote it, I still went through it. I'm not a hypocrite.
That's a true game. That means you live what you learn. And
yes, and I recorded my very first song. So that's also on Wellness Today Inside Out. So you can go to you'll see music. You can just click music and be able to download it on Spotify or Amazon or, all the, Pandora.
Oh, wow. So you everywhere now, Robin.
Yes, multifaceted. The Lord told me I was going to be doing that anyway, and I'm having a blast, I tell you.
That's right. And see, these are some of the keys to success, y'all. So if you guys are not paying attention to that, you probably should write that down, take some notes, and answer some questions. My boy Jabari says, happy birthday, man. I appreciate that, man. Hey, you definitely want to come up, man, to Charlotte, man. I can't wait. And I know I'll be down in South Carolina June the 1st, that weekend. So just hit my line, all right? And we definitely gonna chop it up, bro. So yeah, man, this is gonna be a good little topic right here.
Oh yes, I'm excited.
Success because I mean you have books, I mean you're doing the music thing, and you have a lot going for yourself, right? So like one of the questions I know that you probably get is just common misconceptions that people have just about like mental health, right? So what are some things you can clarify about some of the things that you've been getting when it comes to that?
Well, what I've experienced is that a lot of people, they shy away from it because they think of it sort of like that people who have mental illness, they belong locked up in an asylum, in an institute. And mental wellness is very, very important. And how you can shy away from those misconceptions is that you check your life and you see what type of balance you have in your life, because everything starts up here, which is in the mind and in the brain. And the brain is such a beautiful organ that a lot of people don't take the time to learn about it. That's and right. To see how you can get the most out of it and what you could do to keep it healthy and strong. And so getting back to the misconception, whenever you find yourself not progressing, not moving forward, always finding yourself in kerfuffles, or always finding yourself stressed, or always finding yourself depressed, or always finding yourself emotionally disturbed, angry, doubting yourself, lack of confidence, a lot of that falls into mental illness. And so to get rid of that misconception, what makes it from being mental illness is mental wellness. So you'll be able to see the both sides. a lot of times people don't take the time and look at both sides. But if you look at both sides, it's either I'm mentally well or I'm not.
That's
Doesn't
right.
mean that I belong in an institute. Doesn't mean that I need doctors and different specialists to help me, because we do have some severe situations like that.
Hmm.
But if you find yourself in a dark place, a lot of times you're dealing with mental illness.
Mm,
And if you want to get well, I got a whole lot of great nuggets to help you be able to navigate through life in wellness mentally.
that's good. That's what I like to hear. So like you don't have to give all the sauce, right? But what's a good nugget that you can give when it comes to like the mental wellness part? Like if someone's looking for a good gym that they can take, what's something that you would implement to
Well, um, Kobe, I jotted down three things, and
Mhm.
there are three major things.
Okay.
And with mental wellness, it circumferences spiritual, physical, and even the soul.
I like
And
that.
with the spiritual, a good nugget for spiritual is that this is something that I do pretty much every day. If not every day, every other day. I do it often.
Hmm.
And I go into meditation. And the reason why I go into meditation is because spiritually you have to be able to put yourself in a place, no TV, no cell phone, no people, just in a very consecrated place where you can just line up. You can line up with your mind, your will, and your emotions, which I define it as your soul.
Hmm.
Can line up spiritually and see, I'm a spiritual person, and so I stay connected to the frequencies of God. So you also line up spiritually with that deity that you worship. And then you also line up with your body.
There you
And
go.
so once you put all three of those together, you'll be able to identify whether or not there's turbulence. And see, when you go into meditation and then you get to a place where you can identify that there's some type of turbulence, some type of disturbance in there,
Hmm.
you'll be able to put your finger on it, and you'll be able to identify. And there's one thing that I got from Dr. Siegel: you can name and tame those things. And so
Mm.
you can take yourself off of ingrained emotions. You can take yourself off of that autopilot that we're on. Let's say if something unfavorable happens or something that we don't like happen, you can take yourself um, off of that course and actually see what that turbulence is,
Right.
name it, and then tame it. So, how do you tame it? How do you tame something that's going on, that's a turbulence on the inside? So, spiritually, what you do is you go from meditation to prayer. Now, I
I like
like to liken ourselves with like a tree. So we as human beings, a tree is alive. Tree is a living organism, just like we are, and it's something that the tree needs every day. It needs sunlight, and it also needs water, right? And
Yep.
so we as human beings, we need something every day so that we can function at our best, that we can move in. And I liked how you talked about success, because one of the definitions that I love from success that I got from Deepak Chopra is continued expansion of happiness
Yes.
and progressive realization of worthy goals. And so that progression of realization of worthy goals helps you keep going. And I'm going to dive into the dopamine when I get to the physical part. And so with the spiritual part, what you need is now help. So if you have that turbulence going on the inside of you, you need that help to be able to detach.
There you go. That's a
You
good
need
word.
to be able to detach from it because it's not doing you any good. If you're angry, you're resentful, if you're finding yourself depressed, then you can go ahead and go to, I always call it above the line, and
Hmm.
you can actually attach yourself to those things above the line, which is joy. See, joy will dispel, it will distinguish any dark feeling of emotion. So that's spiritual. Then you go into the soul. I like to look at the soul like it's the point guard.
Hmm.
If you're doing the game of life,
Uh-huh.
look at basketball. Let's use the basketball
I
as
love it. I love it.
in the game of life. The soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions, is
Yes.
the point guard. The soul is very important to whatever you decide to do. That point guard, and you know how important that point guard is to the game.
Oh, it's a leader.
Is
Transition.
very
It makes the plays.
important as a point guard. If you want that mental health, if you want that mental wellness, that point guard, your mind, your will, and your emotions need to align with progression, having worthy goals, being able to put one foot in front of the other, and making those right decisions so that you don't find yourself into unfavorable situations. And then the last one is the physical. And so with the physical, do you know, Cobe? I'm sure you do because you're the health guy.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain foods that you can eat that will actually bring health to the brain.
Come on, talk about it.
Yeah, it brings health to the brain. So you got the spiritual, you got the soul, and now you have physical. And so dopamine, those of you who don't know what dopamine is, I'm going to give it to you in layman's terms.
Yes.
Dopamine is the happy hormone. That's what the professionals like to call it. It's the happy hormone. And right in the base of your brain is where dopamine got you. How our bodies are wired, dopamine is right in the base of the brain. And this is how you trigger it. When you think positive, when you think positive, do you know that dopamine gets released into your body? It opens up all your neurotransmitters in your mind so that all of a sudden, you ever be in a position where you get really excited about something, and then all of a sudden all these ideas start flooding in, and then you start putting one foot in front of the other, and then you start doing this and you start doing that. You also experience this energy. And it's like dopamine is like cousins to adrenaline. So once the dopamine kicks in, so does the adrenaline to give you
each other
energy and to give you that oomph that you need to be able to put one foot in front of the other. And so with mental wellness, with the dopamine and the adrenaline, also links up with endorphins. And you know about endorphins. Endorphins release those chemicals in your body. The Bible says a merry heart does good like a medicine. It's not by mistake that it says that. Because when you're happy and you're laughing and you're jolly, when you exercise and you move that body and you're moving towards wellness, seriously, it's bringing wellness to your mind. It's bringing wellness to your body. And so that's just in a little short nutshell of it. And so the foods that I was going to tell you to actually,
next question.
yes, to get that dopamine going, to help keep it healthy and actually disperse it in your body is almonds, apples, avocados, bananas, lima beans, chicken, chocolate. Chocolate, you'll get a rush. Now it doesn't stay, but you get that rush. Chocolate,
get that rush. Yep.
Yes, green tea, pumpkin seeds, oatmeal, watermelon, wheat germ, oranges, peas, sesame seed, tomatoes, turmeric, beets, and green leafy vegetables.
I already had half of that list just today.
Yes, good. And you see how you feel? You see what's going on? You see that
all the time. My diet has been
this stuff is real.
From that.
It works.
Yeah.
And there's a tea. Now I haven't had this, but all the other things I do practice eating is Uvermont tea. I hope I'm saying it right. Uvermont tea actually protects the neurons of dopamine. And so you have these foods and eat a lot of cauliflower. My husband, he's a health enthusiast. And if you ever,
that's Alonzo.
Yes, that's Alonzo. He was on your podcast before.
That's right.
And if you're interested in any of his products, go to zolingospiceoflife.com. But he said that the way fruits and vegetables are made, a lot of times it relates to the parts of the body that it's good for, that it nourishes. And so cauliflower looks just like a brain. eat up a whole lot of cauliflower because it nourishes your brain. And so those are just some of the foods that I took the time to study into. It will also, these foods are also listed in his book that's coming out. It's called Life is a Process for Progress,
Life
and it has all the healthy recipes that he cooks and all the information to help you be excited about nourishing your body for success. Yes.
Love it. I'm about to get both of those. I'm about to get your books. I'm about to get his book coming out. I'm
Yes,
telling you, this
his
is a
book is
nugget right here, y'all.
it's actually being edited. So I'll definitely let you know, Kobe, when it comes to market and when we start
Mhm.
taking the list. But one of the things about keeping dopamine going,
Mhm.
so with dopamine is kind of tricky. If you, let's say if you're excited, you do something, like let's just use exercise, okay, I'm going to start exercising this year, and you start exercising, then all of a sudden you find yourself falling off from being motivated. The
Mhm.
reason why is because when you first start out, you're excited about it, you get that dopamine hit. It's called a dopamine hit. So you get that dopamine hit, now you started that regimen, but then what happens is it now becomes a routine. So you won't feel that same energy, that same adrenaline, and all that excitement like you did in the beginning. Don't let that cause you to think that something's wrong. That's pretty normal.
Okay.
What you can do to keep a healthy level of dopamine going, you have short term goals. Set up some short term goals. And when you set up those short term goals, you get really excited about your success, like
Yep.
that quick success. It's like, wow, I did it. And don't overdo it. Like, don't take it, stretch it out too far or too hard.
We
But
call it celebrating those wins. So every little win, you gotta celebrate.
yes,
Yep.
exactly. That's a good way to say it. Is those little wins. And that's hey, Kobe, that's with relationships.
Yep.
That's
There
with
you go.
your career.
Come on.
That's with everything that you interact and you do in life. You set those short-term goals and you watch yourself grow and become the best you that you can possibly be.
It's so many gems. I have so many questions. This is like insane. Because like what you said makes sense. Like this is some of the stuff that I look into. Like I don't just speak. Like I've also taken a lot of like certifications when it comes to leadership, right, and wellness and mental wellness. And they talked about, and just to and give a caveat, when we talk about the soul, average people think the soul is like this internal energy, right, inside like your gut or something like that. But really it's from your mental. And people don't think about the mind and the soul being as one. So
Yes.
when you broke that down, it was like, you know what you're talking about. Like, so he
Yes.
knows what she's talking about, y'all. This is coming
Yes.
from legit information, right? And so it mind boggles me because a lot of people don't know that, and it's so beneficial because a lot of people get lost and they get discouraged a lot of times, and they get into that so-called turbulence, and a lot of times they don't know what to do, and most of the time, if they don't know what to do, what do they end up doing? Which is reverting back to the subconscious, which is that autopilot we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Some people may not eat correctly, which is
Yep.
also feeding more into the old and negative ways and negative thought processes. Like you said, there's certain foods that they eat. And if you don't eat some of the foods that she had listed, you might end up still hurting yourself in the long term if you're not changing these processes, or at least getting ahead of it before it gets worse. And so
Correct.
what she's talking about is something amazing. So like for here, Rise and Rise Academy, we speak a lot about going, working out, moving your body, getting sunlight, drinking your water, and doing a. We have a mostly plant-based lifestyle. Have a pyramid, like a food pyramid,
Hmm.
mostly vegetables, mostly fruits, and small portions of clean meats and additives like that. But
Yes.
it's all for wellness. But it all fills into pertaining to bettering your life, and what you're giving them is real, actual game. So I
Yeah.
want everybody to take notes on that.
Yeah, another thing too that I didn't mention that I do now, because my father, he's actually diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And you know that all has to do with the brain. And
Yes.
there's some things that I learned that with good gut health, the things that you're talking about going back to those bad habits. Do you know if you eat a bunch of fried food, you eat that vegetable oil,
Hmm.
it literally destroys your gut health. It destroys your good gut bacteria. Now, there are two things that I started doing before I turned 60. Thank God I have a husband who's a health enthusiast. And so there's two things that I started doing, and I started eating kimchi because I found out that having all of those trillions of good gut bacteria, it
Hmm.
literally kills the spores that deteriorate your brain.
Ooh, talk about it. That's the probiotics.
Yes, it kills the spores that goes and deteriorates your brain. And so if you want to live a long, healthy life and you want your brain and you want to be able to function, because my dad has a great body, Kobe.
Hmm.
My dad lifts weights, he looks really great, but he doesn't even remember half the time who I am.
Wow.
And so coconut oil is also a great something to eat to nourish your brain and to give you that good gut health as well. And so if you can
Mhm.
try to stay away from that fried grease that goes in there and kills your good gut health, that would be a really good thing to do. And eat
Mm.
some kimchi.
And kimchi, that's good. So coconut water, I presume it could work for that as well.
No, coconut oil,
Coconut
because
oil.
it's the oils that your brain needs. A lot
Okay.
of people don't know that, but your brain needs oils. And so it's the
Yeah.
coconut oil that will definitely help your brain. The coconut water is great for your whole body, your blood
Right.
flow, your circulation, and everything, your gut. But the oil is very important because it's what goes to the brain and lubricates it and keeps it healthy, help causes those new brain cells to be um, restored or to be recreated, and so it's a good thing to talk about. It's a good thing to do because if you want to have continued expansion of happiness,
Hmm.
I don't know anybody who's not feeling well that's happy.
I'm telling you, I don't
sickness
know anybody that's doing the same thing. You're
sickness
right.
sickness really robs you of your happiness because you're not content in that situation. And so it behooves us that if we want to have continued expansion of happiness, you want to continue to have these great smiles on your face and your skin
Right.
glowing, your hair glowing, your eyes beaming, and you're going from level to level. The Bible says
Yeah,
glory to
vibrant.
glory.
That's
You
right.
know, if you want that, then just take the little baby steps and educate yourself, because the Bible also talks about how God's people are destroyed because of their lack of knowledge.
That's right.
How many people do you know that goes to church and is unhealthy as I don't know what?
Oh, listen, we talk about that all the
And
time.
they die unhealthy deaths, but they love the Lord. But God said that his people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. So if you don't want that, the best thing to do is to get off of the hamster wheel of
Mhm.
looking at all those damaging commercials that cause you to eat food that has a whole lot of inflammatories in there, plastic stuff that you're eating and digesting, and just take the time and on purpose nourish your body, nourish your brain, so that you can cause all of that goodness and happiness. And if you notice what I said about dopamine, what is it that activates dopamine? Positive thinking.
There you go. It reminds me of that book that I read. It was called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And it was the same guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. It was
Yeah.
so amazing. It was a spinoff. And it talked about how someone had changed their life just from changing their thought processes. So they labeled it as in two things. So it's like a talisman. So the talisman is who you are. There's a negative mental attitude and there's a positive mental attitude. It's almost like a coin. You flip it up and down. So
Yeah.
when you have that negative mental attitude, it talked about just labeling that as, oh, you know what? That's the negative attitude.
Yeah.
Flip it to the positive attitude, and it's a choice. So when you
Yeah.
choose to do that, that's when you start to see a lot more things come to your way when it comes to success. You
Absolutely.
broke that down tremendously because it reminds me of that book.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
Yeah.
back to it.
It's you have to, when you're balancing out, when you're identifying the turbulence, when you're looking at your life, and see, sometimes people, they just keep moving, Kobe, because they are so used to being miserable.
Yes.
But if you just slow it down and start being self-referral, taking the time and referring to yourself, what's going on in the inside of you instead of what's going on the outside of you, the circumstances. But take the time and look deep within yourself and see what's going on the inside of you. You'll be able to identify whether you even have goals. You'll be able to identify that you need to start setting goals. You'll be able to identify that, I'm being petty or I'm being jealous or You know,
Yes.
I'm really I'm focusing on the wrong thing, because the thing that you focus on is the thing that you're going to do.
There you go.
And those decisions, if you take the time in your relationships and with your health and wellness, with your mental wellness, when you take the time and say, now if I do this particular thing, is it going to benefit me and those around me, or is it not? And if you get a not, then you really should abstain from it, for real.
There
It,
you
it could be any little thing or it could be any big thing. And one thing about the brain, say, remember in the cartoons where you had one side is the angel and the other
go. Yep.
devil,
Yep.
and then you made that person or that cartoon character made the decision to do something. Well, our brains are really like that.
Yep.
On the right side of our brain, that's the will do, or I'll do it, or I'm thinking about doing it. And the left side is I won't, or I can't, or I'm not going to do it. But
Mhm.
right in the frontal lobe of your brain is where you want to. And when you want to do something and you make a decision to do something, is made from right in here. And when you make that decision, make sure that decision is something that's going to benefit your present and your future. We cannot live our lives based off of past conditionings. You know, we have, it's a prison. Past conditionings, if you failed, let's say if you decide you want to start better relationships, and then it didn't happen, and then you start thinking about all the things that happened in the past.
Mhm.
But if you stop being a prisoner to your past conditionings and move forward and put one foot in front of the other,
That's
just
right.
putting one foot in front of the other, you'll find that you'll have that progressive realization of worthy goals.
I love that. And what helped me do that first was when I started to learn how to meditate, because we hear this word meditate all the time, and it taught me to be uh, more aware of my body and more aware of not thinking about anything. And that was the most difficult part, because we think all the time, and like you said, when you slow it down and take your time, a lot of those thoughts, they're going to come in, but you don't have to give it any energy. You can
Yes.
let it flow, but you can also focus on the rest of everything else in your body. So I started to meditate, and I realized that I had like a little twitch in my muscles sometimes because I'm so used to working out. But I didn't realize it until I slowed it down, and I was like, wow, when I'm meditating, I can feel every little bit of my body. So I was able to control it and have um, a lot more, control over the body. But not just that, my mental space, I was able to be aware of it or more keen to it as I began to meditate more. And that began to transition to my thinking too. So now, even when thoughts come into play, same thing. I'm able to slow it down at a much better rate so I can make the better choice.
Yes.
In that better choice, I'm going to tend to one that's going to get me more positive energy. So that way, it translates to my life. A lot of people tell me all the time, man, Kobe, you have tons of energy. And I'm like, man, this is just, I'm eating the right stuff. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Kobe is that dopamine.
And then that dope, yeah, it's just like,
It's dopamine going on. It's all dispersed through your body, which is an awesome thing. And endorphins.
I love that. I,
Yeah.
I like what you were saying too when it comes to the cartoon. Like you got the angel on one side, you got the devil on the other one with the horns. And at the end of the day, they both make good, decisions. But at the same time, it's up to that person in the middle, like you were
That's
saying,
right.
to make that possible.
Make the decision. Yes.
Exactly right. And that almost leads kind of to my next question, right? Like if if dopamine or mental health, if this was like a slogan, if you could create a slogan for it, what would you give it?
For mental wellness,
Yes.
I'm going to steal my husband's. He cornered this phrase,
Okay.
and it's life is a process for progress.
Life is a process for progress.
It's a process for progress, because
Write that down.
how I see mental illness, and I'm not talking about people who are born um, where they are neurologically damaged in some type of way. I'm
Mhm.
talking about people who are you are functionable and you are able to have relationships and you're able to live and to be a productive citizen in society. That individual is who I'm talking about. It's where you fall into mental illness is when you don't progress. You're stuck.
Yep, stuck.
You stay stuck somewhere, whether and it's somewhere negative. And when you find yourself, because even complacency is not good.
That's right.
Complacency is not good. It's not positive. And when you take the time and look at it, life is a process for progress, and you wake up every day with the idea that what am I going to do today? How am I going to be my best person today? I literally do that. Like today, I'm like, okay, Lord, what are we going to do today? And sometimes before I go to bed at night, I already know I have a list of things that I'm going to progressively do the next day. And Kobe, that's how I have 3 books. Actually, I have 4 books. I didn't mention this. By me being a minister, my husband and I, we do Grown Folks Business Marriage Can Work.
I love that.
That is a book and a workbook that we do. We have people that have gone through it. I've actually officiated a wedding the end of April. It was so beautiful.
Oh, congratulations. How
Through
was
the
that?
whole program. They went through the whole program. They're very happy. They're progressing. They're moving forward. And so as a minister, as a servant, as a joy specialist, as an author, as a motivational speaker, all in one is Robin Hill. I find that it's easy for me to constantly do these things. I just set up my corporation. I'm very excited about that. I got the stocks moved so that, my private family foundation and my trust is actually owning it. So I'm not going to be attacked by Fin.
There you go.
There's so many wonderful things, because not only am I healthy, not only am I happy, I'm happily married, have wonderful relationships. I have retired, but I did well on my job. Now I'm working and doing these different things that God has put on my lap to do, and I'm very excited to do it. But I'm wealthy. And it's a wonderful, awesome feeling, but this did not happen by happenstance.
Right.
It just didn't happen because I was born, lucky or with a silver spoon. This is hard work. And that's another thing that causes dopamine to be activated in your body. It's hard work, believe it or not.
Trust me, I believe it.
It's true. Man, you work hard on something and then you sit back and you look at what you have done. Because God said that he created us in his likeness and in his image. You can look at this world to see how he is. And so he made us like that where we can create.
You got to give it your all.
You give it your all.
You give it your all.
And when you do that, whew, man, that dopamine gets to going, that energy, that adrenaline, all of the things that you need, it's just activated. And Kobe, I look at that as God loving us so much that he equipped us with everything that we need to be successful.
He did.
There is no excuse. He has equipped us. Whether you start poor, I remember every week, all I had was $25 for hair products, female products, and food for a family of 4. $25.
Wow.
We didn't have a lot of money, but I stayed positive. Nobody would have ever thought that we were even like that. My daughters can tell you, I kept my house clean. My house is beautiful. I had a whole lot of dollar store pictures on the walls.
Nobody ever knew.
It was absolutely beautiful. Nobody would have known because I stayed positive about that. Now it's not like that. Now I'm thanking God that I am blessed, but positivity is key to your success.
That's the gem right there. Key to motivation success. You got to put that positive energy in. I'm a testament to that. I stay on a positive energy. I mean, I can't remember a time I'm just negative. Like, I just know it doesn't do any good. And I was reading the Bible today and it talked about how just knowing that God's with you no matter what, that alone, don't go into it with any fear. You go into it with that faith.
Yes.
You got to give it your all. And I remember reading it talked about how you're not supposed to hate going to sleep because we're so progressing and we're supposed to do work, and faith without work is dead anyway. Yes. So you got to have that faith to keep you pushing, but you got to put that work in so that you can bear fruit. And I was reading that all month and everything just kind of been aligning to it. And so this is the stuff to me. I think this should be taught in church. Like your spirit is beautiful, and I think a lot of and I'm not saying pastors don't do it, but I think this should be pushed more up to the forefront
Well,
because it's not a heavy
definitely.
topic like it should be to me.
Definitely. And Kobe, that is one of my goals. And I've been praying and believing God. God said your gift will make room for you. And so I'm starting to see the invites. Like you invited me. And
Yes.
then on the 8th, my husband and I, we're actually teaching at a men's conference at one of the largest churches in Charlotte, which is Mount Carmel. So I put that announcement on. If you go to Mount Carmel's website and sign up for the men's retreat, it's a men's conference. And for men out there, if you're really wanting some nice resources and fuel where you're not destroyed because of lack of knowledge, if you want to know about relationships, your physical body, different things, a whole lot of stuff is going to be discussed at that. And so I'm believing God that more and more that those doors, now that I'm retired, I'm able to focus on certain things like this where I can go out and speak more and to help people more because it's so necessary. I call it above the line.
It is.
If you want to be mentally well, you have to stay above the line. My husband and I, we don't play with it. Mm-hmm. If you play around with negativity and you spiral down into negativity, you're going to reap the fruit of that. That's going to be your harvest. But if you make up in your mind and see, you have the power to do that. You literally have the power to do that. Take yourself off that autopilot. And there's a scripture in the Bible. How do I have the power, Robin? When this is going on and that's going on, this is how you have the power. The Bible says, finally, brethren, whatsoever is lovely, whatsoever is just, whatsoever is honest, whatsoever is pure, of a good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on those things. So the word of God tells us exactly. So if this bad thing is happening over here, Robin, how can I think on something like that? I promise you give it a shot. Give it a shot. Something that's not going on right in your life and it's causing you to spiral down into not being well mentally. You take the time and start thinking on the things that you should to progress and move you forward. Step by step, moving forward. Don't be a prisoner of your past conditionings, the stuff that goes on back here, but you actually align yourself up and say, you know what? Tomorrow, yes, that has happened. Lord, I thank you for the help. When you stay positive, all your neural transmitters open up and you'll get the information you need. It literally just comes.
This is so perfect.
I'll
give people two practical things personally that happened in my life, and what you're saying is true. And it talked about faith and having that faith. And a lot of times we can lose faith depending on what happens in our lifetime because, things happen that we don't necessarily expect it to. But as you so well eloquently put, you got to keep that faith and keep your mind on the things of purity, just, and having that bravery to continue to combat I'm not going to say evils, but you combat everything that comes about your life because you have to be a testament of what God has for you. So for example, like something for me, I had to figure out a way to create this virtual environment, right? I was talking about work. So I didn't necessarily know 100% how to do it. I just knew a little bit, but that faith had to kick in to say, well, guess what? I know I'll figure it out because it's clearly possible. So I kept that faith and said, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. You know what happened? Internally, there was like this burst of energy, almost like I drank a cup of coffee or something like that, right? Don't know where it came from, but I knew where it came from. So what you have to do is you have to act on it. This is where massive action comes into play. And that's another thing that we talk about here in the Rise and Rise Academy. When you are going to work out, you got to put the action in. You got to get up and go to the gym. Rain, whatever it is, put an umbrella up, boom, go to the gym. But the action was I went and I did the research and I actually found out 100% how to do it. I went and did it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I felt good because I knew how to do it. Now, granted, was it perfect? No, but I found out that when I continued to go through the small little things that always happen, like, oh, I forgot to do this or this or this, it's because I didn't know it. But it's okay because when I went back and I kept that positive attitude about it, I was able to find it, fix things, and get it 100% pushed out. almost effortlessly. No one even knew that I had a bunch of issues that I fixed it.
You're wired. I'm telling you, Kobe,
Right.
and you can use this scenario for every situation in your life. You can use this scenario.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you something else. For those of you who don't really have a relationship with God because you've seen religiosity, I'm not talking about religiosity. I'm talking about staying connected to a frequency because God has an ongoing frequency. Not only that, He's wired our bodies for success. And so, something that I've been meditating on for the past maybe 3 months this year, and I'm telling you, I'm hyped. I walk around with my head up high because in the scriptures it says that God has adopted us as sons and daughters.
Mm.
So we are sons and daughters of God,
Yes.
a almighty, all powerful, ever all knowing, ever present God who is
Yes.
the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning, the end, the first and the last. The Bible says, greater is He that is in me than he that's in the world. And so God is above and beyond any type of circumstance or any situation that you experience. You literally can walk around with your head up high, saying to yourself, I am a walking miracle. And why? When you think like that, you don't think in the dumps. When you walk around and say, I'm a walking miracle, I am a living, walking miracle because I am the daughter of a living God. And when you think like that, let me tell you something. Supernatural things happen because a supernatural God lives on the inside of you. Kobe, this is the other thing. Before the problem, the situation, the circumstance happens, because that living God lives on the inside of you, you have the solution before the problem. You have the remedy before the situation even happens.
There you
You
go.
are walking around with it.
That's
And
right.
all you have to do is use how you're wired and say, okay, all right, God, I know the answer's there. Show me, Lord. Where's that answer? When you act like that, do you know that dopamine is kicking in?
There you go.
You know
Exactly.
that adrenaline is kicking in? Do
That's
you know
deep.
all those neurotransmitters are opening up so God can fill it with His wisdom and knowledge?
I love
He
it.
can guide you to a place where you can get that answer like you just said.
You
Oh,
preaching there, Robin.
it's
Hey, James
exciting.
says great word.
So exciting. It is so very exciting to know who you are. You don't have to be down in the dumps. You really don't. You can wake up every day and say, oh, I am the daughter, or if you're or a son, I'm the daughter or son of a living God. I'm already walking around with the remedy and the solution even before it happens. It just gets me so excited.
I wake up and put that smile on my face every day.
Oh, I
I'm ready to get to
know.
it. I promise you, I stay ready to get to it.
I
Like,
know. I'm
people don't
telling you.
even think about it because I work so much. They're like, man, how are you just like keeping it going? I'm like, man, look, I have
Yeah.
a purpose to get into. And that's another thing that keeps my job going because it's to find my purpose and where I need to be at. And I know it because this is what the life had taught me. So my whole life, I already know what it was. Everything that I want to achieve, I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve. And then I know for sure I'm going to get everything else in the future because that's just been my life. That's just a characteristic about who I am. Same thing about me being self-assured. I'm always going to be self-assured because I know that I have that power within me. And being brought up in the church was a great help to my own character because, I mean, my granddad was a preacher, so he taught this to us as young kids, and from my dad, my mom, and everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so that just helps fuel me and just kind of, that's my fallback foundation. I know for sure we can get it done. So for me, there's really no need to come at it from a negative mindset because I know, I mean, we can do it. All things are possible with that because God helps those who help themselves. So if you help yourself, meaning if your mind is set on, I'm going to get done what I need to get done, that's helping yourself. You're not doing yourself any justice if you are thinking that you can't do something. That's the worst thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
My mom would always tell me, don't say can't. Don't say can't. That's not even your vocabulary. She's told us that as a young kid. So I had to say, you know what? I can't use the word. I'm not going to use it. And so I'm going to say, we're going to figure out a way to do it. And if I can't do it, then probably somewhere along the line, somebody can get it done because the goal is where it's going to count. So I'm not going to give up on that. That's helping yourself.
And that's definitely a key to success, and all of the different things that we're talking about just puts you on course and on a road of being a successful person, being, coming to that place of being the best and the greatest person that you could be. Maya Angelou said something that I love, that lady, and I might not say it exactly, but what she said was, when you learn to do good, do good. But when you learn to do better, do better.
Come
And
on.
so life is a process for progress. It's just, you're just reaching. You're always reaching to do better. If you look at the trees are always reaching up. It's reaching up because that source of light is coming down to nourish it so it can continue to exist. Same thing for us. We have, like, our bodies depend on things outside of us because we don't produce the nutrients that we need. So we have to go and get the vitamins and the minerals and and eat the right foods so that our bodies can be all that it can be. The tree has to sit there and depend on the sun to come out and the rain to come. But we are the most intelligent species on this earth. That's with a free will. And as being the most intelligent species on this earth, it doesn't make much sense for us to keep going in directions that's hurting us and killing us.
That is so true.
And putting us in a rabbit hole of depression and darkness.
I'm gonna put a plug in real quick, and just so our bodies don't naturally produce iodine. So one way that you can get your iodine is through getting it through sea moss, and that's something that, of course, Queen City Organics, Rise and Rise Academy, we have it for you guys. So if you're looking for that sea moss, make sure you guys are looking below King Alajuwan 21 in IG and my Facebook at Rise and Rise Academy. She's speaking the truth, y'all. I'm telling you.
And so sea moss has 92 of the minerals that our body needs every day, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah. It's a good thing to have. We do it. We definitely do it. And so, my main thing is to stay positive, stay jovial, stay above the line. And if you can write this down, Robin, how do I know if I'm above the line? Is when you're not doubtful, when you are believing in yourself, when you have confidence in yourself, when you have great enthusiasm, when you have great expectation, when you have joy, when you have happiness, when you have excitement. And one of the definitions of happiness is willing to do.
There you go.
Now, how you say, I'm happy to do this, or I'm happy, that is being willing. And so in everything that we're saying, we all can do it. We just have to be willing to do it. We have to be happy to do it. And if you're not happy to do it until you get happy, because to help you. This is going to help you, like exercising. If you don't really like exercising, do it anyway, because you know it's good for you. If you don't like eating vegetables, eat the vegetables because you know it's good for your veins, it's good for your brain, it's good for your good gut health, it's good for all the things that keeps this body going.
Oh my goodness, this is so perfect. I swear, if y'all not taking notes, y'all should take notes. And if honestly, you need to watch this video back to back to back, because there's so many gems that you really won't pick up unless you go back and really watch it. Because what she's saying is 100. I agree 1,000%. I have no pushback.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need a part 2. I don't want too much of time. I know we need a part 2. I told Zoe the same thing. I said we're gonna bring you back on too.
Well, you definitely can. You just catch me. I know my calendar is filling up, and I'm very excited about it because I'm all about helping people. I don't do this because I want to be seen and I want people to hear me. I do this because I have a sincere heart to help people. I have compassion because I know what it's like. When I was 18 years old, I was going to commit suicide. I literally was on my way to commit suicide. So I know what it means to be in a dark place. And I don't say all of this somebody that's a novice. I'm saying this as someone who has experience and also had been a professional in this realm for a long time. And God came into my mom's kitchen and supernaturally saved me. And I know I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a purpose, and I have compassion for anyone who can't seem to shake something. But if you, like Cobe said, listen to this podcast over and over, There are so many things that I've said that I do personally. And now, for somebody who almost left this world at 18 years old, depressed, God has created me to be his joy specialist.
Amen.
And I talk about joy because joy is the key to life. Joy will dispel any dark feeling of emotion. Joy causes healing to your body. Joy is positive thinking. Joy is happiness. Some people try to separate happiness and joy, but you can't. And joy comes from God because that is one of the fruit of his spirit, and he freely gave it to us. Now, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to, I know you're almost ending,
Mm-hmm.
but for people who don't know about God or you have an idea about God, when you say, Lord, come into my heart and be Lord of my life, I'm going to tell you what happens. He goes in and ignites your spirit and he makes it alive and he dwells right there in the core of your being. And if you haven't seen the movie Ten Commandments, see, I'm telling my age because that was years ago.
Write that down.
But
10 Commandments.
everybody remembers the burning bush, right? Where we talk about the burning bush. And so that is how, if you want a word picture on what that looks like, I always picture God on the inside of me like that burning bush, like this glowing burning bush on the inside of me. So when I lay down, he's there. When I wake up, he's there. When I'm driving, he's there. Right now, when I'm talking to Cobe on this podcast, the Lord is right here on the inside of me, burning like that burning bush. And when the Lord ignites the core of your being with his presence, he brings gifts. And the gifts that he brings is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance.
Come on.
So all of those things literally live on the inside of you. And so there are people who think that their joy can be stolen. But God told me in my book, Urban Joy, I took this one off the market, so you won't be able to get it. But I promise you, I'm getting ready to do Urban Joy Ever After. I'm going to let my husband's book come out first, and then it's going to come out next year. Urban Joy Ever After, it talks about how God ignites the core of your being with his presence, with all those gifts. And so when you go into meditation, you can pull up on the peace. You don't have to hold on to that turbulence. You can literally pull up because it's there. People say the devil stole my joy or people can steal my joy. God says no.
Mm-hmm.
He said that my people do not experience joy is not because they're a victim of theft, it's because they decline the power that's within them.
There you go.
So if you can really think about that and you have those rough days and you're wallowing in depression or you're wallowing in dark thinking or, a dark place, just remember you don't have to, because God lives on the inside of you and you can go into meditation and go into prayer and get rid of, detach from those things and stir up those things that are on the inside of you.
I love it. That was a whole bar. This was an actual congregation session. I'm gonna let y'all know that. This was a Sunday session on a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And perfectly, it was my birthday, so that was like a perfect segue.
Happy.
Robin, I really appreciate you. You're a beautiful spirit, and I can't wait to get you back on because we got so much to talk about. And from this, I had a bunch of questions, but yeah, this is perfect. So typically, whenever we exit out of the podcast, I'll normally say, when we're faced with an obstacle, what do we do? And I'll normally have my guests say, "We rise and we rise." So I'm gonna let that sink in. So guys, if you please can just go back, look at this podcast. This was probably one of the best podcasts we've done. Like, share, comment. Make sure you guys share it out to at least 3 people and get the video out, get the message out for the YouTube algorithm, of course. And we're going to keep it pushing. So when we're faced with an obstacle, what do we do?
Yeah.
We rise and rise.
Rise and rise. Hey, somebody gave me a dub when I went through one of the darkest moments of my life. And on that dub, it says, you never know how strong you are until you're called to rise.
Ooh, I'm going to write that one down. I like that one.
How strong
to rise.
You're called to rise. And circumstances will cause you to rise. People don't understand, but they don't realize that you literally can take those harsh realities and use it as your stepping stone.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to get a part two. We're gonna talk about this. I appreciate y'all for watching the topic. We're gonna end the stream live. And Robin, I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm gonna text you and we're gonna get back up. I'm gonna get your schedule. And yeah, we're definitely gonna tap in.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm going to post this on my website as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, please do. All right, guys. Thank you for following and thank you for tuning in. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye bye.